Welcome guys to my second what if video. This will be on what if Hashirama kept all the biju. This will be uh, mainly a sort of history thing, and then later on I'll get into the scaling, but uh, as we go by with all the characters. So I think that Hashirama would give them all to the shinobi or clans that he trusts, mainly the head leaders, and tell them, hey, do with these biju as you must, but like here's the ceiling on how to do it and how to keep them in line. And like these are all the abilities I've seen them be able to do. So I would say that uh, Hashirama would be able to keep them in line in case if like any of them do break out though. And be I don't think Hashirama would be able to stop them. I do think Hashirama would be able to stop them if they ever run wild. So for the one tail, we have the Yakamichi clan. Wait, no, Akamichi. Sorry. Uh, the Akamichi clan. That would be the clan Choji has. Um, and then we have the Ambarambe clan for the two tails. The um the Yakamichi for the three tails Ino's clan. Uh, the Hyuga for the four tails. The five tails for the Nara. Six for the Sarutobi. Seven for the Senju. Eight tails for the Uchiha, and then nine tails for the Uzumaki, or basically everyone that Hashirama brought with him, like for instance his wife and Mito and uh, Kushina, and later on since Kushina is born, you get the idea. The Uzumaki clan would keep on getting the nine tails like with Kushina, and yeah, you overall get the idea. The I don't think any of the mainly once the Biju are shown capable of all the things they have, like if uh they are able to harness the power of the Biju, I don't think any of the other nations would want war with them. Especially uh, if Tobi Rama is helping Hashirama during the five Kage summits, he would tell his brother, basically, look, don't give them to any of the other nations because, for one, we don't know if they would turn their backs on a deal with us and say, oh, just because you gave them to us doesn't mean we won't attack you, sort of thing. So I don't necessarily see that happening. And you might argue, oh, what if all the villages attack them? We don't know anything about the other nations and their powers at this time. The only thing we do know is that the Sand Village already captured um, the One Tails, and I do think Hashirama would try and barter for him. And uh, I don't think it would work, but I do think that later Kage, like for instance, Tobi Rama would be scared of the Biju falling in the wrong hands, and so he would send a team to capture Seal and keep and bring um and bring Shukaku back to the Leaf Village. This and this would take place after Hashirama died and Tobirama becomes Kage. Tobirama would place a flying Raijin seal on Hiruzen, Danzo, and some other guys would be sent there with Tobirama rushing all the way into the sand, throwing one, putting a seal on the one tails if when it escapes, and then teleporting back to the leaf, using the flying Raijin seal, and then putting another seal on in this giant seal where they can put the one tails into the current leader of the Akamichi clan. So instant win for the group once they put the right seal on Shukaku. Boom, done. Mission over. Hiruzen sends the little flag through that. Basically, once Tobirama sees that Shukaku is in the leader of the Akamichi, Tobirama would teleport back to the sand and then take them back with the flying Raijin. Boom, done. Simple. Now comes the problem of Obito versus the other nations. How do the events progress following the Second Great Ninja War? Well, I mainly think it will be a grab for resources instead of power, mainly with the sand and stone causing battles, and the Fire Nation slash Hidden Leaf just trying to keep them out of their territory. I do think this would happen pretty easily, though. I do think they would mostly be unharmed with the mission with Minato going out there to try and put out all of the fires involving everyone. And by put out fires, I mean that in a figurative sense, like someone's in danger. I think that the leaf would go largely untouched, and they would be overwhelmingly the strongest, mainly due to the things they would learn from the biju. And I do think that the biju would mainly be somewhat happy with the only one not being all that calm being Kurama, mainly because he's seen so much of the worst that the ninja world has to offer, because he would have seen what Kushina has seen, and I would think he would be more jaded and refuse to help more than anything, but he would like to help Kushina. When Obito does die, I don't think that he would, have the eight tails. So I do think he would die. I don't see any reason for him to live. But you all might be wondering, hey Dad, what about the nine tails, and what about Madara trying to kill Hashirama at the Valley of the End? I say this with mainly some form of respect, but I don't see Madara winning this fight at all. It would end up the same way as it did. Hashirama would beat him, and then after that he gets the others. It's part of the reason why I skipped over that. Next we go into Obito. I do think I don't see him getting the nine tails as easy this time, because I do think it would fight back against being unsealed and help Kushina upgrade the seal, so it'd be harder for Obito to release him, and then Minato and Obito would get into a fight in a real confrontation, because Obito already technically won. He got the Nine Tails out. The village is under attack. Um, he in a fight between the two, I see it more going uh, in Obito's direction. Some people may wonder, hey, but Minato's fat. They move at the same speed. Come on, and Minato can tell. It's an instant counter to the Kamui. No, it's not. Obito didn't prove it, but seeing as how they're at the same speed, Obito knows how the flying Raijin works, and he has even though he has that seal on his back, once Minato um is out of his sight, he will Obito will um go intangible. It's sort of a given. I mainly see this turning out to be a standstill with Kurama eventually being turned on by the other tailed beasts. You might ask, well, Kurama at half power beat all the biju. Yes, granted he did, but the Jinchuriki would be strong enough with the Uchiha's leader Fugaku having a really strong genjutsu. Add that on top of there being more chakra in him from the Eight Tails. Combine the others distracting Kurama, and since Obito has control over him, Fugaku would be able to just take him out of it. Now, on to the later half. I don't see Minato being dead from any of this. Minato would keep on living. The Uchiha wouldn't have a problem. Uh, Obito would go back in the village, mainly concerned about the massacre and everything. So he would. I don't see the Uchiha massacre going the way it did. With Itachi having the Eight Tails in him, I see him holding. He holds all the cards in the situation with Danzo, mainly because I do think he would be smart enough to realize if you if Danzo tries to attack, then I can just teleport in, let everyone know what's happening, because I know what happened with Shisui, and blah blah blah. He's thrown away. So what happens? What do we get to still have the Uchiha massacre? Well, the Akatsuki. Obito would want to build it up, so he would get everyone who he can find. And Pakura, old enough, she would work, and if Obito gets there in time, he would be able to save her with a hashirama cell implant from either Setsu or another one. Same with Gari, same with Torai. And yes, I do think they're strong enough. They were on the level of Rock Lee during the war arc. Lee was fast enough to gain recognition from Minato. You get the point. And no, I don't think they scale to him all the way up there in the Sixth Gate. I think he scales to characters that are faster than the speed of light, like Kashi and all that. So how so combine that with these new members of the Akatsuki, they wouldn't jump Itachi, but he would pull them there and bring them with him just in case, mainly because Madara didn't plan the whole thing out. Obito was, and I think Obito would bring them with him to meet with Itachi and ask, hey, come on, join the Akatsuki. mainly because him along with the others would act as like a sort of bigger buffer for damage. And I think Itachi at this point wouldn't want to like cause a whole bunch of damage because he wouldn't want like Danzo to put a spin on things. So I think he would say yes, mainly for now. He would team up with Obito, Kisame, and some of the higher tiers of the Akatsuki to stealthily take out the Uchiha clan all at once, while they're sleeping. Take their eyes just in case. And Sasuke is still has his origin story. Naruto doesn't. Don't worry, I'll get to that. Mainly because of the massacre. Um. The. The Akatsuki. While the top tiers are going, some of the others would ambush at the Uzumaki clan house. Naruto would have the Nine Tails in him. The Nine Tails, yes, although being able to sense negative energy, it wouldn't allow Naruto to do. I think he would be able to do this, but Kurama would be sleeping at this point. Mainly because it's nighttime. Naruto's still. I would think he's too young to be aware of everything. Be wary of danger, so. Then we get down to brass tacks. How would Minato die? Sasori. Well, you all might be wondering, well, how would Sasori kill him? It's kind of easy. It would be uh it would be Orochimaru putting a bunch of snakes in the room, covering everything up. And then we have Sasori getting a bunch of blades ready, full of poison, in Hiroko's mouth to shoot at Minato. And then, just in case Data is outside, ready to launch some bombs. To make sure Minato doesn't try to jump out the windows or anything like that. Once Minato is blasted away by the needles, they leave. Once Minato and Kushina are blasted away by the needles of Hiroko and, well, effectively dead, they would leave. Smooth, quick, simple, and it would be like nothing happened. Now you might ask, well, why wouldn't they try and take baby Naruto? Well, for one, their main mission is over, and they don't want the Nine Tails to break out just in case, because Naruto is a baby, and if he does die, well, not a baby, but he's only a few years old, he doesn't know how to fight, and if he does, and if the Nine Tails does get out, well, then they'd be screwed, because one, it's the strongest, two, there's only two members that could win in a fight against it, well, possibly, but there's only two that could win in a fight against it. And those two are Itachi and Obito. So I don't really see them winning. And Obito would tell them the same. Don't be arrogant. Don't try and take the kid. We don't want to start a fight with the Nine Tails. And then the rest of the Leaf and Hiruzen, you get my point. Obito would also know of Hiruzen through Minato and subsequently Jiraiya. He'd get hype and yeah. Then we get into stuff later on. Hiruzen, knowing of how strong Naruto is, he would entrust Naruto along with Sasuke to be trained in how to like handle their he would trust Naruto to be trained in like how to use his biju abilities and everything, and also train Naruto in the hands of Asuma, who would uh have the seven tails. The seven tails being Kiyomi. Kiyomi is a giant insect like tailed beast that has a bunch of pollen, flight, and uh uh and has a lot of unique abilities, and I would say that would change Asuma's combat style to be quite a bit of rush down. It doesn't have a lot of explosive power, but it does have it would grant Asuma a great amount of defense and mobility with it being able to fly and launch its wings as an attack like how Fu can. And also I think him and Asuma would be able to transform like how Killer Bee is. So keep that in mind. Once the leaf is sort of weakened in a sense, because A would know about this, I would see the uh a a go up to the leaf village and try and attack it. But there's one character who I think is strong enough with their biju, and that would be, well, I don't exactly think it would be. Did I say seven? Oh shoot, I meant six tails. For the for Asuma. The six tail Saiken would give Asuma water release, and so we would also have like a bunch of water jutsu. Sorry. Um, Asuma would be quite stronger now. Combine that with Saiken, and I do think they would be able to have such a bond like Kurama and Naruto, where they could have their own form of KCM. And this gets into the juicy part. The Raikage, A, at this point, I think he would be fresh enough, to where he would decide, let's go to war with the Leaf and get their tailed beasts. They're weak. Minato isn't there. All the tailed beasts are free for the taking. Hirasen's getting quite old. As we know right now, Jiraiya is not in the Leaf. Tsunade left, and Orochimaru is rogue with the Akatsuki. Let's go. How I see this turning out, and yes, I do see it quite funny that uh, A is such a meathead. I do think he would be able to. I do think he would do this. So, let's cut to the chase. What characters would be strong enough to fight A? Give me an example. No, not Jiraiya. And no, not Hiruzen. Hiruzen would be pushing pretty close to being at his weakest. And Orochimaru is not as strong as he looks in part 1. So how strong would Asuma with Saiken be? Now you all might be wondering, why aren't there? Why is Jiraiya so weak? I'll get to that, but the main problem with A is his speed. Orochimaru and Hiruzen don't scale to him. They constantly say that Hiruzen would be able to take them on if he was younger. Characters make statements about Hiruzen when he was at that point, like he was, like they have knowledge on how strong the other Kage are, but I don't see it. they don't know how strong the others are. They haven't been in war with the other villages in a long time, so I don't see it. Then we have so I don't see any of the other villages being strong enough to take him on. You might be asking, well, who, or me, no, not other villages, other shinobi being strong enough to take on A. You might be asking, well, who? Asuma. Hear me out. I think him and Saiken would have a big enough bond to be able to work together. Him and a certain other um and a certain other leaf shinobi would be able to take him on. I think that him and I don't think Choji would get the would get Shukaku, but I do think that Choji's dad would be strong would have Shukaku, and they would have a big enough bond. You might be wondering, well, why? They're all told about their respective villages. I do think that Choza would let Shukaku out because Shukaku's biggest problem is that he just wants to be free. He doesn't want to be left alone like Kurama. He doesn't hate humanity. He just wants to be free. He hates the body he's trapped in, and so he just wants any way out as soon as possible, and everyone is just in his way. And I do think Choza would be a big enough influence on Shukaku not to do the same thing, as we see with Gaara later on, and with I know you guys are gonna hate me for like bringing up Baruto or Burrito, but I do think that Burrito's little sister's connection would still be applicable here. And their relationship would be strong enough to where Choza would be able to get a big enough boost where he would be a giant tank and just stomp or punch on the enemy alliance because he was on the enemy forces from the Cloud Village. And then you also have Kakashi, who's sort of on equal footing with Naruto throughout most of Shippuden. I do say sort of, and then you add in all the other shinobi in the Leaf, and you have a big enough army and big enough forces to where I don't see the Cloud Village attacking would win. They would get crushed. Mainly because I do because Two Tails Worth was fast enough to keep up with Killer B equal to KCM 1, and it keeps on going from there. Saiken, you add on the more tails he has. Yugito is also fast enough to keep up with him. Now you might say, well, hold up, Asuma's not in the same league as Kakashi. Look at his fight against Hidan. Well, him and Hidan didn't have a whole lot of clashes. Hidan lost to Asuma mainly because of Asuma not knowing on how Hidan's jutsu works. So I think that would I think it would have gone to Asuma if he would have known, because Asuma was able to dodge his attacks, and yeah, you get the idea. Combine that with Saiken's power and jutsu, they would be able to go through A, and this is and the jutsu that Saiken has is very AoE based, and it has a large array of moves. like the Wisdom Wolf Decay. It is a corrosive gas, a large acid, and so yes, I know it does seem weirdly overpowered. So combine that with Asuma's smoke and fire, all the weird stuff it can do. It also has the syrup thing, so it would come. So with the syrup, it would also be able to. I don't think it would be strong enough to hold down A, but I do think it'd be fast enough to stop him from charging at them. Now you all might be asking, well, what about Killer B? And I have this to say: Hyuga clan. The leader of the Hyuga clan would keep it for himself at least until he sees Neji fight in the Chunin exams. I think that would be a wrap for him, and yeah, him he is on equal footing with Neji. In Shippuden, this would scale to Warrior Kakashi. Warrior Kakashi and all them are around Naruto's strength, speed at well, not strength, but speed wise. I do think in around KCM range. I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. And then combine that with the other with the large array of jutsu the uh, that the four tails would give the would give Haizashi, and it would be pretty strong. For example, some of the abilities that Son Goku gives Haizashi would be lava release. Lava release requires earth and fire to mix. Killer Bee's main form of nature release is um, lightning. It hasn't shown a how strong it is against stone, unlike A's lightning release, but it has been shown to be moving at the same sort of speed as Killer Bee, at least in base form. So I do think that combine that with the boost that Son Goku would be able to give him, uh, would be quite strong. Now you might be wondering, why would Son Goku even give Haizashi a boost in power anyways, in speed, to be able to match Killer Bee, who's faster than A? Well, you have the multiple examples of him, uh, of the, well, you have what I brought up with Haizashi scaling to Kakashi through Neji. And then you have the example of Son Goku just by himself, not even influencing his tailed beast. I mean, not tailed beast, Jinchuriki. Just himself, to be able to keep up with KCM1 Naruto, and also be able to just keep on tagging him and also send him flying with some of his lava style jutsu. Combine this with his flame based attacks and how the Hyuga fight. They might, Haizashi might be able to create a sort of fire bypassing attack. This is theoretical, so I don't know if it's a thing in the series, but he might be able to, with the gentle fist, be able to send his chakra through a person's body, but heat it up so it does more damage. I do think it would work quite well. Combine that with Son Goku's abilities and also Haizashi's, and you have yourself a pretty mean combo against Killer Bee. So I think that would be one of the biggest conflicts in Naruto history. A pretty big, not war, but I would say pretty big conflict before the start of Naruto. Now let's get into the beginning of part 1 with the Land of Waves arc. Naruto going on this adventure, I think because of Asuma teaching him everything, I don't see him being as much as a man of mischief, looking for attention. Danzo would still be a sneaky little shit and send out that Naruto has Kurama in him. That Kurama attacked the village. Boom, boom, boom. You get the idea. Asuma would be able to train him to where, like, along with working with Kurama, Naruto and him would be able to learn some moves and gain some influence from other sources. I do see Naruto learning the Rasengan, like his dad, but I don't see him being a major threat with it. And showing this against Kakashi, I do think Kakashi would treat him more like Sasuke at the beginning, mainly because the Rasengan is really strong compared to, well, a basic fireball jutsu. And then you have the power that Kurama would be able to give Naruto. Now I don't see uh, Naruto doing a whole lot, but combine this with Kurama being a little bit more helpful and not trying to ruin Naruto's life. Kurama would uh, give Naruto a lot more power that he needs, and I wouldn't say he would give him KCM1, mainly because I think he would want to be steady with Naruto's training. So I do think he would tell him about Flying Raijin and all this sort of stuff that Kushina knows about Minato, and that Naruto would work on the Rasengan during the not Rasengan, Rasen Shuriken during the beginning of part 1, because at the beginning of part 2, Naruto still needs clones to help him with his Rasengans. It's not until I think the end of part 1 where he has the Sage of Six Paths help that he's able to use his chakra to make Rasengans with ease. And then we get into, like, I do think the arc Land of Waves would stay the same, but with some minor differences, that being Naruto would be stronger than Sasuke, mainly due to his training with Asuma. I don't see Naruto learning multi-shadow clone jutsu, but I do think he'd be able to make clones like Minato can, but much faster and with very little to no ease, because I do think, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but because Biju also have their like own type of jutsu, I do think that Naruto would be able to that Kurama would also be able to do his own hand signs and create a bunch of clones for Naruto if Naruto needed it. Like, they both do the hand sign at the same time, and they make two clones at the same time. So I don't see Naruto's cloning ability being as broken as it is now, because he wouldn't need the attention. and then break into the place with all the jutsus listed, and yeah, you get the idea. Next, we get into the tuning exams. Now, I don't see Naruto throwing the Rasen Shuriken or trying to use it against um uh Orochimaru, mainly because due to how long it took for him to learn the Rasengan, he would still, and also the Rasen Shuriken in part 2 and Shippuden. I still think it would take long for him to throw it. So I think he would decide not to try and throw it in that fight against Orochimaru. But against Kiba, he wouldn't need to fart against Kiba. I do think he would still fart, but combine that with the Rasengan, he would just slam it into Kiba's chest, mainly because he wouldn't want to kill Kiba with the Rasengan, not by shoving it in his face. So next arc we have the in the next, well, not the next arc, but mainly through training, I do see Naruto, after showing Jiraiya he can do the Rasengan. Jiraiya helps Naruto with the Rasen Shuriken, mainly because I think they both are on similar levels of intelligence. Naruto would be able to learn how to do the Rasen Shuriken, combine that with his wind style, and hold on, let me check if Naruto has other if he has other forms of release aside from wind. Okay, he has all nature types, but his affinity is wind. He also has magna, lava, and boil release. So that's mainly through his connection through the other biju. I still think he has those, but um, so Naruto would be okay. So at the very least, Naruto would learn with Jiraiya how to do the other, how to learn other techniques with wind release. Jiraiya through knowing Orochimaru being shown that he knows wind release. He would show Naruto how to shoot wind out of his mouth as an attack. Naruto, I do think that this would be a neat idea. Naruto would, because he also knows how to like do wind in a form of an attack just in his hand. That's how he countered Kakazu's fire and wind enhanced chakra blast from his hearts. Naruto would be able to use the Rasengan like a cannon and launch it out, but he would need two clones at his side. So the two would discuss that, and Kurama would tell Naruto, okay, look, I know how the second Hokage, well, not the second, but mainly I know how the third Hokage fights. Would you like to learn some of his jutsu? Naruto would ask him why. Kurama would say, because I want your training to go a little slow, mainly because look at how long it took you to learn the Rasengan. Look at how long it took you to learn wind release. This would help you, but I do think it would take you some time to learn. Naruto would learn the multi-shell clone jutsu. He'd be able to do it with Kurama's help and master it at the time of the tuning exams. And at the time of the tuning exams, he would be able to shoot wind out of his mouth, shoot the Rasengan like a cannon, launch wind bolts, and be able to because Kurama knows how A fights off of Minato from Kushina, Kurama would be able to teach Naruto how to make a wind armor by releasing his chakra from like all over his body, but only in certain amounts, and turning it into wind release to make a wind shield. I think this wind shield idea would be able to let Naruto run on wind, sort of like how Raikage moves very quickly with just a single footstep. I think he'd be able to run on wind, but I'm not all that sure. With these sort of unique-ish abilities, I do think that Naruto's wind armor wouldn't be fully there. So, granted, I don't think he'd be that fast against Neji. So, in his fight against Neji, I see him doing better than he did originally, but I don't see him doing the same, mainly because of Kurama just not mainly because Kurama would want him to do the fight the way that he did. And the Akatsuki, yes, you might say, well, then what about the Biju? They would want to form together. They would want to attack the Leaf, all the Akatsuki members. The problem with that is this. They know that the Leaf is increasing in power. They know after the skirmish with the Cloud Village and the Leaf, so they themselves need to train, gain new abilities, and get strong enough together as a unit, so that way they can take all the tailed beasts at once with a synchronized seal, with the Pains launching an attack to get all of them at once and seal them in a small little and seal them in a bin. So here's the thing, with the end of the tuning exams, who will be our finalists? Because the Sand Village would still show up, Gaara would fight Sasuke, but Gaara wouldn't summon Shukaku. Gaara would pop out himself, and Gaara would just try to survive that final skirmish with Sasuke. Kankuro would lose to Shino because Shino, yes, he was poisoned when the two did fight earlier in the tuning exams, but Shino was still able to move while Kankuro lost his puppets, his only form of attack and defense. Then you get into all of Naruto's scaling to Sasuke, and after beating Neji, I do think that with this sort of training and learning of his abilities, that Naruto would be able to fight on par with Sasuke. Now you might all be wondering, what about Orochimaru? You brought up Orochimaru earlier in the Forest of Death fighting Naruto. Here's the problem. Yes, he would. Konoha Crush would still happen. Orochimaru would know everything, but it would mainly be a ploy to kill Hiruzen. Wouldn't be to destroy Konoha, although it would be a good time for the Akatsuki. But Konoha would still have Jiraiya and possibly Tsunade, but then again, Now we move on to the obvious. Orochimaru versus Hiruzen. It would end the same. I don't see it ending the same, mainly because of, well, Asuma, Hiruzen's son, he would. I don't see him using a biju bomb, but I see him using a biju beam. Um, a biju beam is an idea that I got from Gyuki the A-Tails doing this huge yellow beam at Team Taka when they attacked Killer Bee. Um, this would mainly come off of Asuma doing his little smoke fire release, but mixed in with Biju Beam idea from Gyuki, but it would be more like a laser, and so Asuma would shoot it and it would make a hole so that way they would be able to burst through the barrier and help Hiruzen. I still think Hiruzen would die, but I think it would mainly be from blood loss from um, Orochimaru's blade cutting through him. It took a whole team of medical ninja to save Neji from getting a hole blasted through a vital organ. I don't see it helping Hiruzen, especially when it blasted through a vital organ as well, along with Hiruzen taking a lot of damage from fighting Hashirama and Tobirama. Now, moving forward, we go to the search for Tsunade arc. Naruto and Jiraiya would go out, and through their knowledge of Orochimaru's attack, they would think, okay, the Akatsuki would think, okay, who are Naruto and Jiraiya going after? Who will be the next Kage? Well, it would have to be someone smart. It would have to be someone that the Leaf trusts that's in there. Who? I think they would be able to pick out Tsunade out of everyone, mainly because he was a student of Hiruzen. Orochimaru would know her because of that, and they would figure out, okay, we can kill two birds with one stone. Orochimaru tried to kill and take take Itachi's eyes. Tsunade has the seven tails. Shiomi and Naruto has the nine tails. Yes, we know he's strong, but now that we sort of know that he can fight, we do know that the nine tails is yes with him, but we're strong too. Itachi, Kisame, you two go, because, well, not just Itachi and Kisame, but along with him comes the three-man cell. Pakra, Gari, Toro, and Gari. These three have Keki Genkai, Magnet Release, Explosion Release, and Scorch Release. Pakra can mummify people. Gari can blow people up from the inside out with Taijutsu, and Torai can magnetize his weapons to anyone. These guys will be a major threat, especially considering their ranged power. Combine that with Kisame being an equal to Guy at this point, and his training with the others, I think he would be considerably stronger than he was in part 1, but I do think he would have some jutsu under his belt. Like, for example, I think he would be able to use a bunch more water techniques, and from what's seen with Tobirama, I think he'd have more chakra, or at least learn how to do water techniques without using his own water from his mouth to do the water bubble. And they would all intercept Tsunade and Naruto. Naruto would go full Nine Tails. uh, against Itachi and Kisame. Pakura, Gari, and Torai are all sort of a match for Jiraiya. Tsunade would help Naruto considering Itachi and Kisame are quite strong. Seeing the three weaker members um, start losing against Jiraiya, Kisame not doing too well because of how Tsunade's new abilities work with Gyome. Gyome helping Tsunade create some actual jutsu, as Tsunade has lightning, earth, water, and fire release. Combine that with Kiyomi's own sort of abilities to not detach but launch her limbs out like blades. I think Tsunade would be able to amp up her punches using um, lightning or fire release. Combine that with uh, Kiyomi, she can do massive amounts of it in one point. Um, and combine that with her knowing Hashirama's style, knowing how Hashirama does his abilities, she would be able to create and do wood release. I don't see uh Itachi and Kisame getting out of this uninjured. So I do see possibly Kisame die. Itachi picks up his sword and feels sorry for him. And yeah, we move forward with uh, Tsunade becoming Hokage. Now, you all might be wondering, what happens now Orochimaru doesn't want to now that Orochimaru's getting sick for the Sasuke retrieval arc? Well, I still think it would go the way it went, but Hizashi would be training Neji, getting him ready to use all of Roshi's abilities and get rid of the seal on his forehead. This will not get rid of it, but um get him ready for this new sort of life to become a Jinchuriki, and also like train Neji. Since Neji also created the rotation, he could also learn a little something from Neji as well, and Neji could learn a lot of things from him. Mainly, I see Neji. Uh, let's look at Neji's abilities real quick. Neji has Earth, Fire, and Water release, and so I think that combined that with help from Hizashi, I think he'd be able to do a whole heck of a lot more than just chakra attacks. He would be able to send out his attacks uh, with his chakra more frequently with Son Goku's attacks with Son Goku's help. And with Son Goku and Neji, I don't see them having quite as big of a bond, so I don't see Neji giving him quite as big as a boost. But I do see him being able to get quite a big advantage against Kidomaru, especially with tailed beast chakra flowing through him. With that out of the way, and if you're all wondering, well, what about Shikamaru? Why wouldn't he not get the 5 tails yet? That's because I think they would be more worried about Shikamaru's growth, uh, speed wise, particularly after events with Tamari still being able to keep up with him. And so, yes, he might be smart, but he wouldn't be able to keep on going. And brains isn't everything in a fight. So I still see a lot of the Sasuke retrieval arc going the same way, but Neji would with one-tailed with Son Goku and Neji sort of being a team, Neji would be able to heal from all his wounds, and Neji would be able to blast Son Goku back. Neji would be able to run to Temari. I don't see the Temari, Kankuro, or Gaara coming to save the day, mainly because the Leaf were attacked by them, and yes, Tsunade did call them up, but I mainly do this because Orochimaru, yes, he did dupe the sand, but the problem being in this version of events, that's because the Sand Village already had their own weapon. Orochimaru wouldn't have to convince the Sand to help him if Orochimaru didn't have his own weapon, Kimimaro. He would just have to lie to them and tell them, "Oh no, Kimimaro is still strong. Don't you worry," because he would show off like his whole deal with a fight between Kimimaro, Rasa. Kimimaro would win, Rasa would lose. So Kimimaro popping in versus Naruto. Naruto up until this point, he would be training with the Rasen Shuriken, but he wouldn't be able to launch it yet, mainly because he's of all his other techniques that he was learning. And after seeing Tsunade, he would want to learn medical jutsu on his own, and so he would learn it with Kurama and Kakashi's help, sort of keeping him up, being able to regenerate with his own chakra instead of Kurama's. And so I see it being sort of long and dragged out. Neji would jump in with Rock Lee because Shikamaru would tell him, "Hey man, I've got this. This girl isn't giving me a whole heck of a lot of trouble. Go help Naruto." Neji and all of them, I think they would be able to push Kimimaro into dying. Then we get into Sasuke himself. They would all be able to stop Sasuke from leaving the village. Hands down, there's no reason why he would be able to win. I'm sorry for anyone wondering, wait, what about? No, no. Choji would be the only one who would be laid out, and thus comes part 2. But I'll save that for another time. This will be half of what if Hashirama split up all the biju amongst the Leaf Village. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button below if you liked the video. Hit subscribe if you're new. And I'll see y'all next time.